Hey everyone, Bob Kendall here. Just want to thank you all for watching my videos. If you do want to support the channel, go to www.kendallreport.com/wavetech. Sign up for our software. You get market grid on 165 individual stocks and indices. You also will get 16,500 buy and sell signals on our entire database. I thank you so much for supporting the channel. Those of you who have already signed up, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to the Kendall Report. In tonight's report, there's a fair amount to talk about. We did see some weakness yesterday, more weakness than I expected. We traded down to the STX number. I'll go through all the details and the technicals here in a few minutes. I do want to make an announcement that the live stream tomorrow won't start till 2 o'clock instead of 1:30. I have a conflict, so I will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday on the live stream. In tomorrow's live stream, I'm going to be discussing a number of factors, including inflation expectations, also the configuration of some of the energy markets and other elements that I think are going to be important as we look to the infrastructure deal and more. Let's go ahead and get into tonight's video. As we look back on yesterday, S&P down 0.7, NASDAQ down 0.9, and the Russell down 2%. I've been talking about how the large cap tech stocks will lead the way. Even though everything was down, the Russell continues to lead the way down or be weaker than the other markets. There's a lot being given back, whether it's the uncertainty about the opening trade or the vaccine. I'm not sure what's driving that narrative and keeping those small caps down, but it is definitely under substantial pressure. In yesterday's action, we saw the sectors that were leading the way down were energy, financial, consumer, cyclical. The positive sectors were utilities and real estate. And that put some stability in there as we saw a very slight bounce off of the STX low yesterday. Something that occurred in yesterday's market, we saw Boeing, UAL under substantial amount of pressure. And it's interesting, and I'll show you briefly tonight, that the Buffett strategy in WaveTech sold out of every stock on the open on Tuesday morning. I think that's interesting that all of these stocks were rolled over right into the earnings on UAL, and Boeing definitely were the big leaders on the way down also today. Overnight, we had earnings come out on Netflix, and not good. We're down 9.5%. The futures were down a bit more than what they are right now. They recovered about half of what they were down. And so we'll see how we come in the morning. Good news, we'll be in a live stream. We'll be able to cover a lot of details in tomorrow's action. The final thing I'll mention before going into some details, we did see a substantial amount of selling coming into the short-term models. We had just gotten above the 42% level. We had over 1,133 net sells. I'll go through those details as well. But as we come into Wednesday, it looks like we're going to come in a little bit on the defensive side. I talked about in last night's video that I thought we were going to be entering into a sideways trading range. I believe that's the case. I'll do my best to set up what the ranges are likely to be. I don't really see a major decline here, but there are some elements out there that could push the markets down 2 or 3% from current levels. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts and see what they're telling us for Wednesday's open. Before getting into the review of the WaveTech database, I do want to show you the Buffett strategy. This is the short-term models. I mentioned that they sold out. There currently is no positions in this. We look at the open positions, you'll see 0. But what I want to show you is the actual trade log, which shows that yesterday BA, JetBlue, UAL, AL, ALK, DAL, and SkyWest all sold out, went to cash. So the current summary of this, the current summary shows that there is no positions. It's up 13.1% on the year, so it's locked in that profit. You can see the equity curve continues to stair step up, which was typical of our strategy. As we look at the database, I mentioned that we had quite a few sells. We had 1,645 sell signals, and we had 512 buy signals, a negative rotation of 1,133 moved the percent bullish from over 44% yesterday back under the 42% to 40.96. Now, this is not material, but today's action will be very important. And we come into tomorrow night's video, I'll update the stats on the database. And if we get back under 40%, that could suggest that we will see some more selling in this market before we'll be able to start to move higher. Now, we did see the S&P get just about to the 4,200 level, and now we're seeing some consolidation, selling, some rethinking of where the markets are. So this is likely to continue for a while. As we begin with the S&P futures, we're now down 475. We traded as low as 41.13. We're currently 41.21, so we've rebounded quite a bit off of the lows. We're just slightly lower on the session. As I mentioned in the opening comments, I do see us entering into a potential sideways range, and I see it being very tight. And the downward bound for this will be the 40.56 level for the extreme right now. That number is going up about 10 handles per day. So somewhere between 40.96 and 40.76 is likely to be the bottom end of this range if we continue lower. If we get back above the 40-day moving average, currently at 41.31, we're currently trading 41.20. So a move back above and on a closing basis above this level will keep the markets in this sideways range. The 21 period moving average is going to be the extreme on the downside. As we look at the PPMs, PPM1 is up 0.12. It's still in trend mode, but below levels that would suggest there'd be support at that level. So the next level down is the 21, and PPM2 is at a plus 0.26, which is in trend level, and suggests there's only a 40% probability to decline below that level. As we look at the market grid for today, S1 level was 41.17. We saw a low of 41.13. And so far, 41.36 is R1. So for the overnight lows to be the low for the session and we should start to move toward the 41.36, 41.46 levels. I didn't really mention in the opening comments, but there's no real material news until we get into Thursday, which is going to be our biggest day for news. I'll discuss that more in the live stream tomorrow. As we look at the SPX, it's splitting hairs, but we closed at 41.34.94. The SDX number 41.35.05, so about 10 points we were below that. So technically an STXL, which should suggest that we will rally back to the R1, R2 level, which I just discussed in the futures. As we look at the market grid for today, an S1 low is 41.27, and the R1 is 41.42. Those will be your 2 points to watch. If we penetrate through 41.27, then look for an S2. If we go through R1 first, then we should print up to around 41.50, which coincides with the analysis on the futures. Next market that I'll cover is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has actually rallied back. It had a low of 13,709. We're currently trading 13,758. So it rallied about 50 handles, so it's a pretty decent rally. We did close under the 10-period moving average yesterday, and this is of concern, but it also sets up the pattern that I talked about in the S&P 500, as we're likely to get sandwiched between the 21 and 10 period moving averages. Now the PPMs on the futures are almost identical to what's going on in the S&P. We have a 0.26 PPM2, which suggests there's only a 40% probability for the market to drop below the 13,500 level. On the upside, 13,865 will be resistance. And as we look at the market grid for today, what you'll see there is that R1 is 13,837. S2 was 13,702. So basically, we've already had an S2 overnight. At least I'm expecting an R1 print, which would put us back to 13,837. The configuration that's set up suggests that a trading range between 13,501, 13,865. I don't see us expanding down to anywhere toward that 13,204. I think this will be the range that we'll be in for a number of sessions, and if we can get back above that 13,865 or the 10-period moving average, then that will set the tone for possibility of rallying back toward the highs again. But for the moment, it looks like a sideways range for at least 2 or 3 sessions. The final market that I'll cover tonight is gold. I'm really encouraged by this pattern in gold. We continue to see it set up this mini dragon head. That suggests that we'll see this market continue to move higher. I've talked about getting above that 1800 handle. We're currently at 1786. The 10-period moving average here, this is the daily chart, is key. 1760 is your major support. We look at the market grid for today. You see S3 is 1761. Overnight, we printed basically an S1. So far, we're above the R1, so look for the potential to go to R2, possibility of getting very close to that 1800 number, maybe printing towards R3 and the RTX number. This pattern is very bullish, and this is ultimately, we're going to see this market move toward the 200-day moving average, which is currently at 1868. That's my short-term target for this market. This will complete the video for tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at tomorrow's live stream, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Wednesday. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell so you'll know when I do these videos.